Okay, evening, brothers and sisters. We're back to finish up on that prior study that was about 3 or 4 videos ago. So we're really just going to read through them. We're kind of going to fly through them pretty fast, I think, anyway. And then I think I have something else I'm going to share with you. I think I'll save it for the end. And we'll begin right off in Isaiah 45 and see what we can pick up in this chapter that is going to help further our understanding. So Cyrus, as we know, when you run that word out both in Greek and in the Old Testament, you'll come to realize it means just simply the anointed one. That's all it means. And they stuck a name here. And the anointed one that really overlays over this, as we know, is the servant identified as daughter Israel. She was the anointed one. She was the chosen scepter by God to rule through. And she was also known as the sovereign Lord. So let's begin reading in Isaiah 45. The Lord says this to the anointed one, to her anointed, whose right hand I have grasped, to subdue nations before her and to disarm kings, to open the doors before her and the gates will not be shut. So we're looking at a gateway. Is this possible that it's, what do they call it? The Golden Gate. Well, we also realized something else about that word golden, didn't we? In Psalm 45, the bride is referred to as all golden within. So this is her gate being open. It says, what does it say? It says, what does it say? Open. Let me look it up. It just hit me. Oh, what passage is it? Let me see, is it, I got to think here. Is it Psalm 9? Psalm 24? Let me look. Psalm 9. Might take me all night to do this. Okay, we're way back here. Psalm 9. Was it Psalm 9? It's Psalm 9 or Psalm 24, I think. And we get this verse, I know, in other passages as well. Is it Psalm 9? Let me see here. Well, there's an interesting verse in Psalm 9, verse 12. It says, when she maketh inquisitions for blood, she remembereth them, she forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Okay. So I was looking, that I may show forth all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will rejoice in thy salvation. What does it say? No, it's not there. It must be 24 that I'm looking for. Okay, so let's go to Psalm 24. The verse I'm actually looking for is, and the Queen of Glory will come in unto thee. That's what we're looking at. She's looking to take her scepter back, the way that she will rule through. Yeah, it's 24. It is Psalm 24. All right. So who is the, not King of Glory, who is the Queen of Glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Verse 9, lift up your heads, O ye gates. We know that those belong to the daughter of Zion, daughter Israel. Even lift them up, ye everlasting doors. And not the king, we're looking at the Queen of Glory shall come in. Who is this Queen of Glory? The Lord of hosts. She is the Queen of Glory. So that's in Psalm 24, verse 9. Actually, verse 9 and 10. So, this is the gateway that she opens up. And I will go before you and I will level the uneven places. I will shatter the bronze doors and I will cut the iron bars in two. I will give you the treasures of darkness and riches from the secret places. So, I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places. that thou must know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am the God of Israel. So she calls her daughters by name. That's not my pen. All right, she knows us. She says, oh, they forgot all about you, but I haven't forgotten about my daughter, the firstborn of my womb. Is she a pleasant child? She was a pleasant child. She says, how can I forget about her? I can't forget about her. She was the pleasant child of my womb, she says. And she's talking about her firstborn daughter, Israel, called Ephraim, in those particular passages. Well, we know Israel went by two names, the north kingdom. And that was Israel, and that was Ephraim, right? And we've identified these particular blessings, and they are. It's amazing how they will line up to Joseph's blessings. Just this particular passage right here. I'll give you the treasures of darkness and riches from the secret places. What does that put us in mind of? Well, for me, I immediately think of the blessings. That's the first thing I think of. And it takes me to Joseph's blessings. And you can say, no, this is man. No, birthright does not belong to a man. It belongs to a daughter. And you can argue that, but the forming that took place, this is why you get that verse in Jeremiah 30, verse 6 or 8. Why now do I see every man standing around like he's the one that gave life? Like he's the one that can give life. It goes back to the idea of forming and shaping something. And they formed and shaped this kingdom that rightfully belonged to these daughters who held the birthright, who formed and shaped life. Much like they were going to be the spirit that would rule the kingdom and became the desolate spirit that no man sought a covenant with. Why? So he could shape the kingdom the way he wanted to and play God. Why now do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hips as if he can give life? He shaped this kingdom when that rod and right belonged to her. Now that is what the scriptures would have you to understand. Once you study the Old Testament, they just glued on or tagged on that extra portion, much like when they were building the idol of a man as your Lord and God. The New Testament is again a portion that is added on to keep that idol standing, male as your Lord and God, so he can continue to shape the kingdom in the manner that he sees fit when it was always her God-given right. Okay, now, so this particular passage in Isaiah 45, verse 3, let's read it. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness and the hidden wealth of secret places. What are we talking about? We're talking about the birthright. Because it takes us to Deuteronomy 33. Let's find Joseph's blessings in all of this. And to Joseph, blessed of the Lord be her land, for the precious things of heaven, and for the dew, and for the deep that coaches beneath, and for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, by the true light, by the true word of God, by the moon, and for the precious things put forth by the moon. I want to show you what I learned about the moon. And for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, and for the precious things of the earth and the fullness thereof, and for the goodwill of, not him, of her that dwelt in the bush. Let the blessing come upon the head of her and upon the top of her head that was separated from her sisters. And then we go into her glory. Her glory is like the firstling of her heifer, and her horns are like the horns of a unicorn. So I wrote in my comments under my last video about the unicorn and how that appears in many different countries' coat of arms, and it's a representation of the feminine aspect, which is daughter Israel of the North Kingdom, and her covenant, which is promised to be fulfilled. And with them she shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. So when you go in and you read other translations of this particular blessing on Joseph, it'll often say the riches that are hidden in the deep places. And so it's talking about the womb, hidden in the womb. It's talking about the birthright of children, which always did belong to her. But just as Pharaoh pushed apart And we find that in, we looked at this again in the last video. We find this in Ezekiel. Let's just reference it right quick here. 32. I'm way over. 30. I just shut that off. Sorry. Is that back on? Yeah, 32. Well, I just did it again. I'll get there. Well, where's my numbers? I'm way up. So hopefully you can still hear me. Okay. 32 parallel. I didn't intend on doing this, but I have to be following what the Spirit tells me to do. So, what does it say? Excuse me, my nose always itches. What does it say? And we get the total opposite of Ephraim doing this. Maybe it's 34 where we read this. Okay, I'm just going to keep looking here because this is quite important, I think, anyway. Okay, so maybe it's not there. Maybe it is in 34. Let me bump here. Just 2 chapters ahead. Okay. So maybe it is 34. Yeah. So let's find the exact passage we're looking for that actually lines up in opposition to this blessing in Joseph's blessings. Okay. Oh, where is it? Right there. It is in verse 21. So Ezekiel 34, verse 21. Because ye have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the diseased with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. So you see what he did. And she says, you scattered my flock to the 4 corners of the world. But Ephraim, the daughter, does the total opposite. Her glory is like the firstling of the heifer, not bullock. And her horns are like the horns of unicorns. Remember, the cows, the heifers, had horns before they determined that in many of the breeding processes, they determined that it was much easier for the bull to mate the female if she had nothing to fight back or thrust back with. So in many of the genetics that followed along, they ended up cutting off her horns, you see. And so because they felt so much sympathy, the males do, for the bull, right? That she shouldn't be allowed to fight back and defend herself and say, nope, never mind, get, right? So what do? In some of these breeding herds, they actually literally cut off the cow's horns, the heifer's horns, all right? So she no longer has anything to thrust back with. So, but her glory is like the firstling of her heifer, not a bullock, give me a break. And her horns are like the horns of a unicorn. That was the symbol of the nation of Ephraim. Yes, it was. With them she shall push the people together to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. Now, if we go in, and let's get a different rendering on that, to make sure that we have it right. So Deuteronomy 33 is the chapter we're looking for. Yeah, 33 parallel. So if you punch in parallel, it'll bring it up on one of these sites that you can punch in and look at your parallels. So if we go down to verse 17, this is what we get. Her glory is like the firstling of her bullock. It says heifer, and her horns are like the horns of a unicorn. With them she shall push. Okay, so let's see. It says shall gore the peoples, all of them, to the ends of the earth. All right. In her majesty, she is like a firstborn heifer. Her horns are like the horns of a wild ox. With them she will gore the nations, even those of the ends of the earth. Such are the 10,000s of Ephraim, such are the thousands of Manasseh. Now look at that. You see? It pays to go in and reread. Now we're getting a totally different perspective here. Because Ephraim is likened to a mare among Pharaoh's army. And I believe it is Ephraim. Here, we've got with him, he will gore the nations, even those at the ends of the earth. So are we looking at the judgment? Her judgment? It says to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. Or are we actually getting a crossover? That's something to really think about, isn't it? I don't know. Let's hit on this and see what it pulls up for references. Like a wild ox. No, wrong. Numbers 23:22, God brought them out of Egypt with a strength like a wild ox. No, not like a wild ox. It was she, the presence of God, who did this. So it's feminine in nature. It would have to be a heifer. At that time Hannah prayed, my heart rejoices in the Lord, in whom my horn is exalted. My mouth speaks boldly against my enemies, for I rejoice in your salvation. She's talking to her mother there. Okay. By your manger at night? Will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will he stay by your manger at night? Oh, will he? Or will the heifer, the mother, do this? Consent to serve you. Through you we repel our foes. Through your name we trample our enemies. So these are the horns of Ephraim, the daughters of Israel, daughter Zion, in Micah, right? What does it say? So we're just following the pieces here. Because we know she was likened to a mare among Pharaoh's army. I'm not letting that one go, because there's only one answer to that. What am I looking for again? Micah. So we go to Micah. Micah, right here. What does it say in Micah chapter 4? It says, but they know. Now, verse 11. Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled and let her eyes look upon Zion. So is this the aspect here that we're actually looking at in Joseph's blessing? Because it says to the ends of the earth. All at once to the ends of the earth. And those with them she will push the people all at once to the ends of the earth. Yeah, and then in this we do get a reference to Ezekiel 34:21. Since you shove with flank and shoulder, butting all the weak ones with your horns until you have scattered them abroad. So it's not a gathering with Ephraim here, it's a judgment. And though they want to make it line up with Pharaoh in Ezekiel 34, which will take you back to Ezekiel 32, telling you that it is King Pharaoh, or Pharaoh means king. I keep saying King Pharaoh. It's Pharaoh, who was the king, she says, who scattered my flock. So they kind of want to lead you on the path that Pharaoh is Ephraim, almost. And we do have a possibility there. But we also have her as the judge. This may be the judgment going on, because what does it say in Micah 4, verse 11? Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled and let her eyes look upon Zion. We see gathering nations around the one drawn out of the water in 2 Ezra chapter 13. And though they want to put it a male, it is definitely the Holy One being drawn out of the waters, the one that Mother has saved and reserved for the very end days. And in there, we see them gathering around her, right? Though they are in great fear against her, they tend to want to gather around her, to which her mouth, because she is not armed in the sense that we think. Though the sword is your tongue, it's called your sword, your tongue is. Your teeth are likened to arrows, also spears, all right? So we see the law actually being the weapon that she defeats the enemy with. So in verse 11, and this is where we see this aspect, not what they would want you to believe, all right, is what I'm going to go with. Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled, and let her eyes look upon Zion. Verse 12. But they know not the thoughts of the Lord, neither understand they her counsel, for she gathered them as the sheaves into the floor. And she does, she's gathering them for the judgment. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion. This is where we're looking at. And I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the Lord of the whole earth. So this is the aspect that we're looking at, all right, the judgment. But she's also called Asaph the gatherer, all right? She is the one that will gather the peaceful, and that again is referenced in 2 Ezra 13. Then behind this group that she completely burns to ashes with the law of her mouth is the understanding in 2 Ezra 13. Then she gathers another peaceful, it says, crowd to her after that aspect. All right? So this was important to look at. All right? But once we go back to Isaiah 45 and we read this, treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou may know that I, the Lord, which call thee by name, the name is Israel. All right? She's naming her again. And when we go in and we read Joseph's blessings, we get the same language. All right? And she says, though they forgot about you, it's all he. I have not forgot about the firstborn of my womb. She's my scepter. And, yeah. So if we look at the language from the deep waters that lie below. Okay, so it says about Joseph. May the Lord bless her land with a precious dew from heaven above, and with the deep waters that lie below. All right, there's a lot there. Blessed be the Lord, will bless her land with the choicest gift of heaven above and of the deep that crouches beneath. Right? With the choicest fruits of the sun and the rich yield of the months of the moon. Right? With the best products of the ancient mountains and the bounty of the eternal hills. See, this takes us to the same language being used here in reference to the anointed one, which is the holy daughter. Israel is her name. So it says, for Jacob, no, for Israel my servant, my chosen one, I give a name to you, though you do not know me. Right? I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. So I have strengthened you, though you don't know me, that they may know from the right. Who didn't we know? Who don't we know? Our mother. We know Father and Son and that third male that they've worked hard to tell you that that's the Godhead, and yet God says you're without excuse not to understand my Godhead. I show you it in my creation, male and female, and yet you all deny me, she, the creator, the potter, as the one that forms the clay in the womb, and you say Father gave life to everything. That's why we came with this false foundation and a creation that has been formed by the hand of a man playing God, saying he is the creator that gives life, which is why now do I see every man standing around with his hands on his hips as if he can give life. And every face is turned pale. They're witnessing the coming down of their great idol that has took thousands of years for them to build. And it's coming down. that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light, and I create darkness. I make peace, and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Yes, she does. Heavens, sprinkle from above, and let the skies shower righteousness. Let the earth open up so that salvation will sprout and righteousness will spring up with it. I, Yahweh, have created it. I, the Lord, have created it. Woe unto him that striveth with his maker. One clay pot among many. Does clay say to the one forming it, what are you making? Or does your work say, she has no hands? So take your child in your arms, and that child's going to look at you and say, what are you making? Right? Because that child knows more than the one that formed it. And that's what this is saying. You denied the Creator in the days of your youth. As women who turned away from Mother Wisdom, who would have protected you from all of these lies of bowing to an idol, and you turned to your husband as if he was your head because he had built up an idol for you to bow down to, and you bowed down to your Baals. We're told that. So woe unto him that saith unto his, it says, father, what begettest thou? Well, she begat, and she gives life. We're told the rock that got rejected was your mother. What begettest thou into the mother? What hast thou brought forth? Well, she is the Creator. Thus saith the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, and her Maker. Ask me of things to come concerning my daughters, and concerning the work of my hands command ye me. You can't tell me what to do when I'm forming life. You don't direct me and tell me what to do. I do that. I made the earth, and I created man on it. It was my hands that stretched out the heavens, and I commanded all their hosts, because she's the life giver. I have raised him up. I have raised her up in righteousness, and I will level all the roads for her. She will rebuild my city and set my exiles free, not for a price or a bribe, says the Lord of hosts. But we heard that the kings took bribe, and I believe that was found in Isaiah 22. I'm not sure, but that was one, I believe, of the passages where you'll find they took bribe. Where does this particular verse take us to? It says, she will rebuild my city and set my exiles free, not for a price or a bribe. Why is that in there? Because of the same verse we find here. For this is what the Lord says, you were sold for nothing, and you will be redeemed without silver. And that doesn't say with blood. A man's blood washing you clean. That's in Isaiah 52, verse 4. Nope, that's not what it says. She says, I will wash the blood off of my daughters. That's how you're redeemed. You're redeemed with the truth of who you are in God. Not a religious lie that has an idol built up for every woman on the face of this planet to bow down to and jump through his hoops. You can't see it globally going on right now? He ain't God. He doesn't tell you what you can or cannot do. Our rights came directly from our God in heaven. It does not come from man dictating to us what we can and can't do. And God says, in the day that you learn that you forgot your Creator in the days of your youth, and you turned to Him as if He was your head and could instruct you, and you gave over your power, when you turn back to me, I'll put my power back upon you. There is a great power here. It's not a joke, and they are in fear of that power. I have raised her up in righteousness. Okay, now, we're going to hit on verse 14. I may do 18, Jeremiah 18, in a separate video. Sorry, just because it takes so long, especially if I intend on sharing this particular portion with you. Oops, sorry. That I just thought it was quite interesting and fun to share. And leads us to an understanding of the moon, believe it or not. So we really are getting into a heavenly battle. At least I'm beginning to understand more and more that there is a genuine heavenly battle going on, and that we are somehow in a, I don't know, a spell, a brainwashing, a control of some kind, that they're able to control our thoughts and stop us from rising up and taking back what rightfully belongs to us. So, and this that I discovered today kind of led me on to that path. So Isaiah 45 verse 14. Thus saith the Lord God, the labor of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and the Sabians, men of stature, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee. In chains they shall come over. Well, it was the women that's in chains and in bondage, but by extension, of course, their sons are as well. So it may well be men of stature. It may be women of stature, women that do have some sort of power. Actually may come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee, and there is none else. There is no God besides thee, right? So because this God actually shows power in the land, all right? It's not a fake God. The idol that cannot hear, that cannot see. And it says, likewise, just as your idol that you build up, you bow down at the feet of Baal, this idol, husband, bridegroom, as if he's Lord and God, and you washed in blood, when we all know you don't wash in blood, you wash in water, you actually stained in blood. It goes back to the system of Cain, really, which is Canaan, and he was marked. He had a mark on him, and the mark on him was blood, because he did what? He murdered Abel, his brother? No, he murdered Abel, his sister, and she did not offer up a goat or a lamb or a sheep or a cow. You know what she offered up? She offered up the produce of the land in thanksgiving unto her God. And you know what Cain did? He murdered her. Look at the word Abel. It means a meadow, a grassy land. It was about the land of Israel coming into existence. And he murdered her in jealousy. Yes, he did. But they think sticking another male there, which has worked for thousands of years, it's had us women bang at every man's feet because they're so much more important. Because it's man, man, man. That's what it is. Or it's a man. Or it's man, man. That's always what it is. Forget you girls. You're nothing but a doormat to walk over. That's all you are. And that's just what it says in Isaiah. Where is it? I can never remember. 52 at the end. It says, you have laid your back flat. And they have said, bow down that we may walk over you. And that's just what we have done. And they have gone over us. They have walked all over us because we handed our power straight over to them. That's just what we did. But she's going to redeem us by washing the blood off of us. And it says, just as that idol does not see, does not hear, so too those bowed down at the feet. They refuse to open their eyes. They refuse to open their ears. They refuse to stand up. So she says, oh, but when I arrive, you will be brought to great shame. Yeah. So, they shall come after thee in chains, they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplications unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee, and there is none else, there is no God. Verily, thou art a God that hidest thyself, O God of Israel, the Savior. So who hid herself? He never hid himself. No. He was too busy hiding her and showing himself as God. He can't be bothered to hide. He's got too much pride. Come on. But she hid so that she said, I might see your latter end. And really what she's saying, so that you might understand your latter end. When you turn on your Creator and you bow down at hubby's feet, let him write all the laws and think that, oh, hubby yoked the weaker sex. If we're truly the weaker sex, why under the sun did he have to write laws to yoke us? Come on. He's yoking the power. He's trying to restrain her. And she goes to sleep under the religious lie. We discussed this before in another video. And only when she awakens as a warrior that's been drunk on wine, only when she awakens from that, right, does she begin to realize, right? So that's the Lord that hid herself from you. It was not him. That's all we know. Him. Yeah, over here in the Christian world. In other parts, it's just a singular male or it's, I don't know, a singular male for the most part, or a triple male Godhead is what we're looking at. So for thus saith the Lord that created the heavens, she established it, she created it not in vain, she formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I have not spoken in secret or in the dark places of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Israel, seek ye me in vain. I, the Lord, speak righteousness. I declare things that are upright. I speak what is truthful. That's right. He didn't. She did. Come gather yourselves and draw near, you fugitives of the nations, those who carry their wooden idols and pray to a God who cannot save and has no knowledge. Speak up and present your case. Come on. Oh, well, they did. It's kind of falling apart here at the end, making absolutely no sense. It doesn't reason. Wisdom says, when I called, you couldn't be bothered to listen to anything I had to say. And now I'm going to be forced to send a rod of iron. And again, I wrote that in my comments quite a bit on that under my last video. And it just requires a little bit of thought in reading those passages to draw them together in understanding. So speak up and present your case, right? Yes, let them take counsel together. Who predicted this long ago? Who announced it from ancient times? Was it not I, the Lord? And there is no God else beside me, a just God and a Savior. There is none beside me. That's what she says. But you forgot your Creator in the days of your youth. Who else says this? She says it in 2 Kings 19. Have you not heard long ago I ordained it? In days of old I planned it, and now I have brought it to pass that you have turned fortified cities into pile of stone. Therefore their inhabitants, devoid of power, are dismayed and ashamed. They are like plants in the field, tender green shoots, grass on the rooftops, scorched before it is grown. But who's speaking here? We identified who was speaking here quite easily because it tells us who's speaking here. Because we saw King Hezekiah become very worried, right, of Assyria, the king of Assyria. Sennacherib, that pointy cherub. So this was where the suppression was coming in by way of the Assyrians, who was blaspheming the Holy One of Israel. And that's what I began to realize. This is what we realized. This is what I found out. Sennacherib and how he connected to the moon, okay? And I had read it before, but there's so much more here to be understood. If I can remember how I placed it together, pieced it together. I should have made better notes. I never make good enough notes. And Isaiah said unto them, no, we don't want that. We'll go down here. To who is speaking? And she says, I planned this a long time ago. And it is in. And hear, open, Lord, thine eyes, and see, and hear the words of Sinashrub, which have sent him to reproach the living God. So Sennacherib, that pointy cherub, came to reproach the living God. So living God means she was standing right here on earth. And that's also identified as the presence of God, which is also known, another name in Bethel, the house of God. Bethel, which is also a name for the almond tree, or as we've called, the almond branch. That's right. But if we keep going down, we see who's sitting between the cherub, and it's 21. This is the word that the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin daughter of Zion hath despised thee and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom have you reproached and blasphemed? Her. That's who. And against whom have you exalted your voice and lifted your eyes on high? You have done this against even the Holy One of Israel. That's right. The one whom God appointed as her scepter on earth. Okay. On to Isaiah 45 again. Tell ye and bring them near. Yea, let them take counsel together. Who has declared this from ancient times? We just saw she did. She declared it. Who has announced it from ancient times? And she says, you haven't seen my presence since the beginning. And she says, a sign of my presence in the end. And she gets in Isaiah 64, are volcanic eruptions going off, the water's boiling, and earthquakes is there in the description. Look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God and there is none else. So what did the supposed Christ, actually it's Joshua, Christ is the idol built up by man. Baal, right? Adding on to that image of Daniel that King Nebuchadnezzar dreams about standing, which is a man as your Lord and God. And so it's really Joshua. We pick Joshua up as a scepter, a burning brand, plucked from the burning himself. All right? And then he's promised that his branch will come out of these women, right, to be wondered at, the great wonders, because they are the salvation in the land. And his branch will come out. But his name is Joshua. And if we look at that, they did stick some of Joshua's word into the idol of Jesus' mouth. Joshua says, you can get away with blaspheming men, but you will not blaspheme the Holy One and get away with it. Because when she shows up, that's your last hope, right, for you. So I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow and every tongue shall swear. That's right. She's the Lord, the sovereign Lord that rules over the kingdom. All right? Surely shall one say in the Lord, have I righteousness and strength, even to her shall men come, and all that are incensed against her shall be ashamed. And they were incensed against the daughters. It was not against the sons that they were incensed against. It was against the daughters. We see the Baals shooting at her, which is called archers, and Joseph's blessings. It's other places. And they hated the branches, the daughters. They shot at the daughters, branches. That's the word there. But it's daughters. When you go and look the word up, as they tried to pass over the wall. And they shall men come, and all that are incensed against her shall be ashamed. There we go. In the Lord shall all the seed of Israel be justified and shall glory. So we're going to look at Jeremiah 18. I need to get into that a little bit more. I may not be able to, but I think there's some words to look up in there. I don't know for sure, but I'm going to take a look. So we're going to be moving into Jeremiah 18 next. Sorry, I didn't get it all wrapped up tonight. I apologize for that. Now, we're going to look at Sennacherib. Let me see. What exactly was I looking at? Okay. So, the interesting thing, I get looking at Sennacherib's name and the meaning, and if you break it down the way that I had broke it down once, which was, I had done it on a video, it was this way that I had broken his name down. Okay, so I had broken the name down this way initially. I don't know if you can see that or not. If you punch in Strong's Hebrew, Senna, it'll give you a blackberry bush, I believe. Thorny. A thorny bush, right? And we already know the meaning of cherub, right? So you get that pointy cherub. That's why I often say Sennacherib. When I say Sennacherib, I'll say the pointy cherub. But there's another understanding of what's going on, all right? And if we go to, first we'll do this. First we'll go to Psalm. We'll go to the Psalms here. 136. All right. Let's read Psalm 136. This is about the sovereign Lord she. They want to stick the he pronoun in again. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for she is good, for her mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks unto the God of gods. That should really be 136 over 113. we understand the meaning of these three numbers, 3068, 113, and 136, if we go to Psalm 110. And then we'll get them also mentioned as angels in Genesis. I believe it's 18. It may be 21. I can't quite remember which passage it is. And they're spoken of as angels there, who meets with Abraham. But they are the same three lords there. Their same numbers are mentioned there. She is the one that will strike through kings in the day of her wrath, that sits to the right hand, all right, of the 113, who is the branch of Joshua, out of Zion. And then we have the mother, who is the creator of all life, everything. All right, so really she should be 136 over 113 because she's a sovereign lord over the entire kingdom. Or it could be, oftentimes you'll get 430 over, she is the Lord of Lords, God of Gods, 430 over 430. In that passage, she is the branch pulled out of the daughters of wonder spoken of in Zechariah, is it chapter 3 or Zechariah 4, that the branch will come out of, and then she gets the title of Lord, is what it looks like, 136. To which you find in Psalm 2, she says, this day have I begotten thee, right? And it is her. She says, this day have I birthed you, my daughter, formed you, my daughter. And that number's 136. And she has gave the decree to announce that. And so she's pulled out of the 430. So she then becomes the Lord of Lords, of these other, or God of Gods, is usually how it's translated with 430, the God of Gods. But she becomes the Lord 136. Her taking her scepter back, the way that she will rule through, she puts her spirit upon her. She becomes the Lord, or the God of Gods. So you'll get 430 over 430 is the number. And these gods that she's the God over, because these are gods, is her virgins that you see coming along with her in passages like Daniel 7, when she is brought to the Ancient of Days with her cloud of witnesses. That's her virgins, all right? They're virgins. They are no longer being defiled under man's lying covenant, which makes her, let her eyes look upon Zion, let her be defiled, all right? So these daughters are called your virgin daughters, and you also see them in Psalm 45 with her being brought to her mother. So they want to tell you it's to her Lord, her husband, that she is told to bow down and worship. You are never told to bow down and worship your husband except by him, not by your head, which is your mother, Ancient of Days. Oh, give thanks unto the God of Gods. There we go. That's 430 over 430 right there. For her mercy endureth forever. Oh, give thanks to the Lord of Lords. For her mercy endureth forever. I believe they've got that 113 over 113. I'm not sure. Which is outright. It don't make no sense. It's 136 over 113. She is the scepter between Judah's feet. Yep, that's Shiloh. And again, if we do our study in Shiloh, was in the territory of Ephraim. You see, she's the sovereign Lord. To her who alone doeth great wonders. There's the daughters of wonders. It's not sons of wonders. That is the branch. It is the daughters. Again, we saw the archers, Baal, your husband, shooting at these daughters as they passed over the wall. To her who alone doeth great wonders, for her mercy endureth forever. To her that by wisdom made the heavens, for her mercy endureth forever. They've got he everywhere here. She spread the land on the waters. Her love is eternal. She made the great lights. Her love is eternal. The sun to rule by day. Her love is eternal. And the moon and stars to rule by night. So there we're getting into the powers of darkness, right? Now, what did Sennacherib's name mean according to Wikipedia? Okay? Aside from my personal interpretation of him being the thorny cherub that surrounded her and blasphemed the Holy One of Israel, the daughters, and then brought them into great oppression, we're told that verse in, again, Isaiah 52. We read it on the last video, I believe. So Sennacherib's here. What is it? It's his meaning is sin has replaced the brothers. Now, I did this on another video. And I just simply didn't have the time to look at it in a much deeper way. But of course, I'm sure most of us caught this understanding. Sin, S-I-N, has replaced the brothers. So there's a play on words here going on, right? So this is Wikipedia, Sinashrub. And I believe I posted the link under my last video. So if you hit on sin here, S-I-N, which is highlighted in this Wikipedia to give you a better understanding of what it really means. It is sin, S-Y-N, or even S-H-R, and it means moon. Yeah, so moon has replaced the brothers, has it? Replaced them. It did it? Okay, let's see if we can get a further understanding. If we actually go to Strong's Hebrew's understanding of Sennacherib. And Sennacherib's number is 5576, and it means sin multiplied brothers. It's a proper name, masculine, Sennacherib. All right? Sin multiplied brothers. So what did it say sin meant? Moon. The moon, or the powers of darkness, multiplied the brothers. So the powers of darkness replaced the brothers. That's the sons of darkness, the sons of Belial, and even the sons of Baal. That's what replaced your brothers. And that's why we had oppression coming in, blaspheming the Holy One of Israel, the daughters of Israel, daughters of Zion, and they were blaspheming her holy name. But she says, I planned this all along. I planned this a long time ago. This will go the way I planned it to go, not you. So there we go. It's so fascinating. Was there anything else? That's the one I wanted to share with you tonight. That Sennacherib is telling us who is controlling the powers of darkness, the powers of the moon, which leads to the understanding of sin multiplied the brothers, right? Which then leads us to sin has replaced the brothers. They were our brothers on the same pathway that we were on until men like Sennacherib to the Pharaoh got it in their head that, hey, if we can dethrone her, and in Isaiah 52 we find her, stand up, take your throne back, take off his ridiculous yokes on your neck that they think they're your moral police and can tell you what you can and cannot do. It was never their scepter to rule through. And if we're the weaker sex, why would you have to put so many bloody yokes on our necks? There's got to be a power they're frightened of. And that power is from above, right over our heads. That's where it is. They're afraid of that power. And she says, don't worry. I planned this a long time ago. You get the impression that there's something much larger going on in the heavenly battle that they don't want to admit to. And what does it say? Daily they accuse us in the heavens. So daily they're running to our Creator and accusing us daughters on earth of bowing to them and loving it. Loving the humiliation. That's what they're saying about us. And I remember that passage in the Apocrypha, was it the book of Enoch? And she says, and it is her saying, she says, don't you send a man. And she's speaking to the watchers. You come yourself. You represent yourself to me. Don't you send a man to me. And it didn't add up until going through all the different studies and passages that we've gone through. Of course, I clued in a while ago on it, but that's what it says. And she's saying, you come yourself, right? You don't send a man to me representing you. And it says no man can die for another. It says that in the Old Testament. But yet, somehow, they were able to rewrite it, and everybody accepted it and received it. So, I know it's not a great video on the study, but it does add a little bit to the understanding for any of you who are newly on this journey, on this pathway. It says, ask ye, seek for the old paths, and walk ye in them. All right, you don't walk in a crooked pathway. And she says, long time have I been restrained, have I held my peace. Now will I go forth as a travailing woman. I will destroy, and I will devour at once. Right? I will make straight the pathway. I will make darkness light before you. I will lead you in pathways that you have not known. And so that's the pathway we're looking for and have found. And now we are determining to walk upon it, which means seeking her commands and asking that we be recognized in the heavens under her law, not under this man-made religious law that he's daily accusing us of wanting, because we won't stand up and rule with the scepter that she ordained us to rule through. So there's the video. I was intense. I had the energy tonight. Nothing wrong with intensity. I think if you have passion in what it is you believe, that is probably going to show itself. So, again, thanks for watching. Pray you're blessed with an abundance of truth and her precious water that we're seeking more of daily, on a daily basis. It will nourish us. It will sustain us with life eternal if we allow her to rule through us. We're her scepter in the way that she rules. And she says, I won't rule through a harlot that's bowing at the feet of a man, her husband, as if he's her head when he is not her head. So thanks again. I pray you have a blessed evening. And I pray that you would watch the videos and share them. I guess that's all I got to say. Thanks again.